This is Nikki G from Better Commander. My commander is a stone cold fox. She's got 8 tails, 8 auras attached for 40 commander damage. It's a Light-Paws Emperor's Voice. Light-Paws is a Kitsune advisor at the Imperial Palace in Eiganjo Castle in Kamigawa. She's the current regent until the Emperor's return. In Kamigawa, Kitsune grow tails as they get wiser and do deeds of great strength. Light-Paws has 8 tails, so that's good. She trained Kaito Shizuki and other important people on Kamigawa. She's wise, cute, and will give you a slice of life, but also a slice of death. Alright, Light-Paws, Emperor's Voice, 1 and a white mana. Legendary creature, Fox Advisor. She's a 2/2. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield, attached to Light-Paws, Emperor's Voice, then shuffle. I mean, this is a silly card. The fact that this is just like ho-hum, big deal, kind of blows my mind. I mean, if I saw this back in the 90s, this would be the most powerful card in Magic. This thing's insane. This is a toolbox aura commander that can easily Voltron someone out on turn 6 or 7. The problem is auras traditionally aren't that great. If you have 5 auras on a creature and someone exiles it, you just lost 6 cards in trade for their 1 mana and a Swords to Plowshares. However, we are going to mitigate that with a few key cards and strategies. Let's take a look. Number 1, draw in white. What white cards are going to keep our hands full? Number 2, Recursion. This is where mono white shines, and we'll take a look at some key cards. If Light-Paws dies with 8 auras attached, we need ways to get them back and back on our commander. Number 3, cost reducers. There are lots of enchantment aura cost reducers in mono white, and we'll talk about some. Number 4, protection. Light-Paws must stay alive at all costs. Number 5, enchantment payoffs. We have a handful of cards that'll help us pay off all these enchantments we're putting onto the battlefield. And number 6 is more auras. This is the pivot point of the deck, and we should have about 25 or so. This is how we win. One of the good things about an aura commander is that you don't really need a ton of ramp. The curve is very low. There are only a few top end cards, and in my build I only have 4 6+ mana value cards in the whole deck. So draw. How do we draw in mono white? We need to adjust our definition of draw. I mean, drawing a card, getting it to your hand is great, but anything that gets us cards to the field or into our hands is draw. SRAM and Core Spirit Dancer are great for this. The good part is that they cost 2, so it's tough for an opponent to want to waste removal on a 2 mana card. Core Spirit Dancer is a great alternate commander as well. Knight of the White Orchid and Loyal Warhound count as draw in this deck as well. They both help us put a permanent onto the battlefield. Mesa Enchantress is a staple in enchantment decks. She triggers on every cast to draw a card. Heliod's Pilgrim gets us whatever aura we want to our hand. Keeper of the Accord is great in this deck, puts lands and tokens out. Armored Sky Hunter I'm not 100% sold on right now, but I'm giving it a try in this deck. It gets us auras on attack, lets us kind of dig deep to the top of the library and put something onto the battlefield. This, however, does not trigger Light-Paws, so we'll see what happens. Sage's Reverie is an insane card in this deck. So it's 3 and a white for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. When Sage's Reverie enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. The cool thing about Light-Paws is that we can get this card every game. If we cast Faith's Fetters on an opponent's commander, we can go get this and embiggen our commander and hopefully draw 4 to 5 cards. Alright, let's talk about some Recursion. Auramancer and Nomad Mythmaker help us get auras out of our graveyard. Sun Titan tops out our curve. This guy can be great to get our auras or creatures back from the graveyard, and he can also wear those auras pretty well himself. Open the Vaults and Brilliant Restoration can reset after a board wipe and put us in a great position. We can recast Light-Paws and be ready to swing next turn. Mantle of the Ancients is an aura that brings back all our auras and grows Light-Paws. Retether does the same thing and can be a big swing for Light-Paws. Mantle of the Ancients is kind of a key enchantment, something you might want to end up holding in your hand for the inevitable board wipe. It's something you might not want to throw immediately onto Light-Paws. Alright, on to our cost reduction. We don't have a ton of ramp in this deck, so we use cost reducers to fill in the gaps. Pearl Medallion works great for all of our white spells. This card is a little pricier, but the rest of the deck is less than $150, so we can splurge. Starfield Mystic and Daneth the Capuchin reduce the cost of our auras by 1 generic mana. I'm consistently surprised by how well Daneth performs in these types of decks. Great card. Transcendent Envoy and Starnheim Courser do the same but have flying. These are really cool cards. Starnheim Courser reduces the cost of all artifacts and all enchantments as well. Alright, let's talk about protection for Light-Paws. With 8 tails, she probably doesn't move around too well, so first there's a few creatures that can help keep us alive. We have All Seed of Life's Bounty. This can protect a key enchantment or our commander. Mother of Runes is just a classic 1-drop that sits there and frustrates our opponents. This card used to be very expensive. It's down to about $5 right now. Phasing can be a very powerful protection tool. Your opponents can plan to take out auras that protect Light-Paws and then take out Light-Paws themselves and collaborate amongst themselves, but if you phase it out, there's really no chance to do so before you untap. Guardian of Faith acts as a poor man's Teferi's protection, especially in a Voltron deck. The phasing rules specify that the creature takes all his auras with him into the Nether Void as well. Umbra Mystic is a really weird card. I love the art too. She looks like kind of a smoky grandma. So Umbra Mystic is 2 and a white, creature, human wizard 2/2. Auras attached to permanents you control have totem armor. If enchanted permanent you control will be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy an aura attached to it. We're going to talk about Umbras in a minute. And that minute is now. Speaking of Umbras, we have Hyena Umbra, Felidar Umbra, and Mammoth Umbra. These won't help if the creature gets exiled, but they can be difficult for our opponents to play around. We also have some protection auras, Benevolent Blessing, Chomano's Blessing. These 2 cards, we can select whatever colors our opponents are playing and give them protection. This is immensely frustrating for our opponents. If they have a blue, a red, and a white commander, we just give them protection from blue and we can swing through easily. Alright, can we take a minute and just appreciate this art? Number 1, this guy has a fantastic art style. He makes everything look super realistic while maintaining like a fantasy aesthetic. Chomano looks suspiciously like Val Kilmer, by the way. I think that could be his secret identity. Pentarch Ward and Unquestioned Authority are additional color protection auras, and they draw us a card on ETB. These protection for color auras can be really frustrating for our opponents. We can swing an unhindered by death touch creatures, dodge targeted removal. I love these cards. Holy Mantle gives us +2/+2 in protection from creatures. Flicker Form is another weird card. Let's read it. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. 2 white, exile enchanted creature and all auras attached to it. At the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you do, return the other cards exiled this way to the battlefield under their owner's control attached to that creature. This is an interesting card. If you can keep 4 mana open in the late game, this will keep Light-Paws around. We have 3 indestructible auras. Indestructibility, Shielded by Faith, Timely Ward, and we'll throw Gift of Immortality in here as well. So this is an enchantment aura, enchant creature. When enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Return Gift of Immortality to the battlefield attached to that creature at the beginning of the next end step. Nice. Alright, let's highlight some enchantment payoffs, because sometimes we need blockers or we need to buy time to set up our board. Ajani's Chosen and Archon of Sun's Grace make us tokens on enchantment enter the battlefield. Sigil of the Empty Throne takes advantage of our auras by creating angels on cast. With all the cheap auras we are running, this can get out of control very fast, especially in the late game. Okay, so how do we win with this deck? Well, Eidolon of Countless Battles is a house. Eidolon of Countless Battles is 1 white, enchantment creature, spirit. Bestow for 2 white. If you cast this card for its bestow cost, it's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. So Eidolon of Countless Battles and enchanted creature each get +1/+1 for each creature you control and +1/+1 for each aura you control. So it's an aura that sticks around to wear our auras if Light-Paws dies. Really cool card in this deck. I took a look at the other bestow cards, but they all seemed underwhelming for this particular color. I'm a big fan of these cards in general and use them in some other decks as well. Ethereal Armor and All That Glitters capitalize on a critical mass of enchantments. These cards can get out of hand quickly and are easily tutored for with Light-Paws ability. Battle Mastery gives our commander double strike. I can't really oversell this. In conjunction with Ethereal Armor, Sage's Reverie, All That Glitters, or our Eidolon, this will spell commander damage doom for our opponents. Angelic Destiny gives evasion and a big buff and can return to our hand when Light-Paws inevitably dies. And what would our aura deck be without Eldrazi Conscription? This is the biggest, swingiest aura that exists, so let's top our curve with it. So this big boy costs 8. It's a tribal enchantment, Eldrazi Aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and has trample and Annihilator 2. Oof. So we can round out the deck with some white hate bears, white good stuff, some removal. I included some aura removal like Prison Term and Darksteel Mutation, Faith's Fetters. These will trigger Light-Paws as well, so we can go grab a nice aura to suit him up with. I put all this into the TCG Player cart, and it came out to $111 including shipping. I did use damage cards. And let me tell you, this deck slaps. I played exactly one game and everyone ended up scooping before a 2020 double strike Umbra protection from black, green, and creatures with lifelink. Light-Paws Voltron them out of the game. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, light the signal fire, call Gondor, send a raven to the old robe sages because Magic the Gathering is alive and marching in the frozen north. This is going to be Nicky G from Better Commanders signing off.